Hey y'all, I'm James Wright, and welcome to my shop. And today, I'm in my mom's kitchen.
My kitchen.
Let's have some fun today. We are going to be making this out of red oak. I know that's a little bit different. Normally it's white oak around here, but we're going to be using red oak today because that is what my father uses in his house. So most of the things there are made out of red oak, and it honestly works and feels very similar to white oak. It's a little bit softer, a little bit easier to work, but it's still a lot of fun. And it still has a really good grain structure. Not quite as much of the medullary rays, but still a lot of fun. So we're going to be cutting, these are the shelves, and they're about 11 inches long, 3.5 inches wide, and about 3/4 inch thick. We're just going to cut them to length. And most of this, I'm going to do the first one and then show my mother and then guide her through doing the next couple. And then we go back and forth on some of these. The actual frame is made out of 3/4 by 3/4 oak. Some of this, if you look online, you'll see pictures. Some of those are 1.5 by 3/4. We wanted to try something a little bit thinner because our shelves are a little smaller. I think I wish we would have gone with something around 1 inch by 3/4. But honestly, it's kind of up to you and how you would look at it. The wider the board is, the more stability you're going to have on each shelf. So we're cutting these to length. They are not quite as long as the cabinet that they're going to be mounted to is tall. They're a little bit short, I think 2 inches on the top and 2 inches on the bottom. So we're making a rectangular frame that goes around the shelves. And it is, well, it's just a simple rectangle with half lap joints at the corners. But we need to create a notch in every one of these that the shelf slides into. And I want them all to be at the same height so that the shelf slides in nice and level. So we're going to take all 4 of these because we're making 2 sets of shelves. And we're going to put them all together and mark out exactly where we want the shelves to sit on these. And then we're going to cut dados into them so that they sink down in. We're going to use the router plane to mark the depth of cut. This way we can just bring it in to do the final pass or 2 on there. So we're going to mark depth of cut front and back on these, and then we cut the cross line with the square. Then we'll just come in with the saw and go down each of these lines, make sure we're staying on the outside of the ones we want to be outside and the inside of the ones we want to be on the inside of. And we're just going to cut them down to the line. And then starts the fun part. Once we get this all cut out, we can come back and remove it. My mother was trying to use some of the Western saws that I use, but if you are low on strength, and often the Japanese saws are a little easier to use and they are much easier to learn. You have a little less control with them in the end, but they are a lot of fun and very, very nice for a beginner. We're going to come in with a chisel and go at this. We'll be going bevel down where we want to go straight in, but coming from the other side, we'll flip it over and go bevel. We'll go bevel up from the other side and start bevel down. We're going to stay a little ways away from the line and then come with the router plane to bring it down into depth. And if you've never used router plane, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, this is one of these times where it's really, really enjoyable because you're just taking out big chunks and you're staying away from the line until you get close to it. And then that gives you a really nice, smooth, clean bottom all the way across. For these ones, we're making 3 dados for the 3 sets of shelves. And I think my mom has found my new favorite tool. For the cross members at the bottom, now that we have all set together, we're going to hold the shelf in there and find out exactly how wide those need to be. We want the shelves to be nice and tight. So once I have that marked, we can cut one of them. And I'm making it ever so slightly larger than that mark, not by much, just by a hair or so. And then I can mark all of the 4 pieces to be the same length as that one. Now we need to create the half laps on the corners to lock them in. So we marked them all out, we laid those out, and I'm going to cut the shoulder first, cross cut down to that half line, and then we can come in with the chisel and pop everything out to that length. And this was a step that my mother rather enjoyed. So I did all of the cross cutting down to the shoulder, and then she came in with the chisel and popped them out. And then we started actually working on them as a team because we had a bunch of these to do. So I did one, show her what to do, and then I handed over to her, and she plays with one. And then she realizes she likes doing the chisel work because, I mean, who doesn't? It's the chisel work. You want to stay away from the line as long as possible, and then go at it. And the 2 of us just went to town on these and slowly went her through it. So we've got 4 joints per board. That means 8 half laps to make and 2 of these. So we had 16 of these to do. Took a little bit of time, but it was a lot of fun in the shop. We're going to do a dry fit up to make sure everything works first. And then once we get it down, we're going to glue these up, put a hand screw clamp on each corner, squeeze them out, and let them sit. We can get our first test to see how they fit. Our top one was loose, the middle one was just about right, and the bottom one was a bit too tight. While those are gluing, we can come back to these shelves and do the last little detail on it. We're going to shoot the ends nice and square. It's not really needed other than we want to smooth them up, and then we want to clean up and smooth all the sides on them. We also added a chamfer off camera and just kind of detailed them and made them nice and clean. After the glue dries on this, we can smooth it out. And so for the plane, you're going to want to play this little game where you round the corner. And you start on one board, and you turn 45 at the corner, and then slide over onto the other board. It's one of those skills that's it's not quite as counterintuitive. It doesn't come very easily. But once you've tried it a couple times, you get it. And my mom actually had a little bit of fun with this. Once she got it up and going, she did it fairly well. Once I show some of the basics of what you want to do, you just slide from one board, and then you get to the corner, turn, and continue on. After 3 or 4 corners, she had the strength of it. So then on the ends, we want to make sure we start on the corner and work our way in because we have end grain there. We don't want to be blowing that out. So I set up the plane to be a slightly thinner, smoother pass so that we're not going to be hitting the grain as we're going to be going against it in some places. We're going to chamfer all these corners and just smooth them out a little bit. That way it has a nice feel to the finger if you rub against it. And then, of course, for finish, boiled linseed oil and paste wax. We're going to slather on the boiled linseed oil, let it soak in as much as it wants. Once that has been on there for a little while, we'll wipe off the excess and then apply paste wax to it. Let the paste wax sit for a while and then polish it off. And that's it. Really nice, simple finish. To attach it to the cabinet, we're going to be drilling holes. I'm just making sure these are in line and not anywhere near the shelves. So I marked those roughly, and then we can come in with a screw, slide it in, and we're going to put a screw through each of these holes. And then that allows us to push them in. You want to make sure that the screw doesn't poke out through the frame, so we had to get slightly shorter screws. With all 3 of those marked, we can come back over to the frame and we can pre-drill these so that these screws don't split them out. Also, make sure you're wearing your safety nail polish because we don't want anything to happen to your toes in your house. Okay, I'm probably going to get roasted for that one, but hey, I'm having fun. So we can take it back over to the cabinet, put the screws in, and crank them in. And that's it. The installation's done. Put the shelves on, decorate it, and have a little bit of fun. And I really like how these came out. They slide in very nicely and hold things in. And we actually staggered the shelves rather than having them all at the same point. Some slid back a little farther, some stuck out a little farther. And I kind of like the look on it. Just for little knickknacks or whatever you want to put on them. And I really enjoyed this project. I had a lot of fun with my mom, and I really like how these came out. Just a cool, simple thing to add to a kitchen. Lots of fun. So there you have it, an interesting set of shelves. This is my mom's design and desire, so we thought we'd have a little bit of fun together and spend some time in the shop, and I really enjoyed it.
I loved it, and it's not something that you can get anywhere else, only at Wood by Wright.
Yes. So it's a really simple project. Anyone can whip these out relatively quickly. It's a lot of fun, and I kind of like how they go out. I mean, I put knives here on mine, but I like the decoration on this. So if you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, snide remarks, throw those in the comments down below. I do love reading through them, and it does help out the channel. Anytime you comment down below and become one of those people, thank you. That actually helps out the channel. As well as you can go even farther, and all of these names over here, those are patrons on Patreon. Without patrons, we wouldn't exist. We are completely sponsored by you. And if you like that, then think about becoming a patron. I think I'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
Bye.
This project is finally done, so you could say we can shelve this one.
Oh dear.